So the reason why it's very frustrating is because it indirectly set in motion her suicide. The fact that they forced her to act a certain way just for their own desire to get more attention on the show. That was her first proper introduction to a larger audience outside of pro wrestling. So that's the only impression she was able to leave on certain people, right? The fact that she passed away in a time in COVID where we've all sat with our thoughts kind of alone because we can't distract ourselves nearly as easily as we wanted to, despite all the technological advances that we have that we can use to distract ourselves. We can't go outside. We can't go to work. We can't go with our friends. We're with ourselves more now than we've been in some time, right? So the fact that you're collected with your thoughts and you're constantly around your thoughts and you're seeing all this backlash for a scene that you didn't even want to do, a scene that you fought against for the way you're approached on the show that's not resonant with your character as a person, not as a wrestler, but as a person, right? The fact that all of that happened in such a short span of time, and this is how people primarily remembered her at like prior to the suicide. It's just an overall frustrating situation because it was a situation that wasn't really in her hands. And the only reason why she joined the show was to bring more attention to Japanese pro wrestling, to pro wrestling in general, to introduce people to our world, essentially, our sphere. There were other supplementary reasons as well that all tied to wanting to get eyes on pro wrestling. Like she literally was putting herself out there to help bring more attention to the business that we all get to talk about and do podcasts about every week and watch just for our own leisure. So the fact that she basically gave so much only to get nothing in the end, but just a terrible send off and a terrible way to exit the world, all because of the producers and the people involved in the show, it makes the situation even more heartbreaking and even more frustrating for the people who are fortunate enough to continue telling her story. So when Jay and I found out about the news today, we talked about whether we wanted to bring it in. I already had plans to talk about it, but yeah, I don't like to end it on that note either. But I felt like it was kind of our due diligence to keep people posted on that so that they don't lead everything to their own assumptions about what happened. Give people the straight facts of what was going on. And no, yeah, it's an absolute and total shame. And it makes the situation even more of it could have been avoided. And the fact that it kind of feels like it was instigated to go that route, it just doesn't resonate well with me. And I feel like if I could speak on the behalf of everybody at the Backstage Brawl, probably all kind of wanting to, we all feel like those people should be ashamed of themselves for what they
did. Yeah. And like, to your point, before getting on and just like hearing about the news, it was one of those things where like when I heard about it, I was like, yeah, I'm open to talk about it, because at the end of the day, in a climate like this, such as this, to your point, you're alone with your thoughts. You don't believe that not many people are thinking about these type of situations. And, you could feel at one point, you could just sit there and be like, yo, I'm the only person concerned about this particular situation that affects me, but it affects everybody else. But it does affect me directly. So for anybody who's watched the show, who's followed us and X, Y, and Z, and has dealt with certain situations on the internet, because we've all been through it. For those people, like, we with you. And for the people who are causing this, just please, just think before you act, because there's so much situations where you can get in, you basically act on emotion, and this climate, you know what I mean? We're in quarantine. We, again, alone with our thoughts. A lot of shit can go wrong. Stephen A. Smith is on active television promoting porn. So everybody is going through. Yes, this is legit. This is what happened.
That's definitely legit, Gene.
But yeah, we talk about it. But it's just like everyone's kind of alone, like thinking about the most, like the taboo is no longer taboo. And what has been taboo is bringing up sensitive topics like this, and it's it's crazy to think about, but this is probably the most positive thing that has come of COVID, has come of the quarantine, that while we were alone with our thoughts, we could bring up topics like this, like racism, like cyberbullying, like all these things, because people need to talk about it, and they need to hear it from other people to know that, hey, listen, we bring it up just as much as you are thinking it. And
it's a period of self-reflection.
Exactly.
Where, like I was saying before, it's so easy to get distracted by everything,
Yeah.
and you don't, and you feel like you don't have enough time. Now all we have is time, and we're sitting here cracking jokes, and everybody cracks jokes to lessen, not lessen the severity of a situation, but to get through it, right? But when you really think about it, how long have we allowed ourselves to be distracted to not talk about the things that really do affect us on a daily basis? Like, it's one of those frustrating things. It's like we all think it. Why is no one doing anything about it? And then we end up in situations like this that hit the extremes, and you're just sitting here like, well, that shouldn't have happened. And we all kind of play a role in that as well, because we could have easily, if we had just had better conversations about it, something like that could have, the chances of that decreasing could have gone down significantly.
Yeah.